Hi everyone, it's Scott here from That's English School 英語研究プロジェクト。よくある間違いを分析します。単語一つで意味がガラッと変わります。でもね、その違いを知らないとずっと間違ったままで会話毎回使い続けると、上達するのは考えにくいですね。何でもそうですよね。この間友達がうちに来て一緒に料理をしました。その友達が結構料理上手で、じゃあこのアボカドをちょっとスライスしといてと頼んだらね、もうその切り方が半端じゃなかったんですよ。もうすごい変な切り方で教えてあげようかと言いまして、そしたらね、その普通の切り方を教えたらね、その友達がね、すっごく感動しました。今までの切り方は何だったんだろうとちょっと反省しました。今回のキーポイントはアボカドです。正しい切り方を知らないと、そのアボカドがぐっちゃぐちゃになってしまいます。Do you see what I'm getting at? So we're going to look at the problem, the reason, the solution, and finish off with some example sentences. I'm in the mood for some guacamole. How about you? First, let's look at the problem. I like classic music. I like classic music. If you said this in a conversation with a native speaker, they would probably get the wrong end of the stick. Why would this happen? Classic is English, isn't it? We use it all the time in Japanese and English, right? What about the WBC, the World Baseball Classic?
He struck him out. Ohtani strikes out Trout, and Japan's back on top of the baseball world.
Yep. That's perfect English. But when we talk about the WBC, we're not talking about the works of Mozart, Beethoven, or Strauss. I've still got so much more to tell you. Let's investigate a wee bit deeper in the next section. So, why would native speakers get the wrong end of the stick? If you said, I like classic music. First, we have to understand the meaning of the word classic. What does it mean? It means something which has been judged to be something of the highest quality, something outstanding in a particular area. Something that is so good, it never goes out of style. Something that your parents loved. Something that you love right now, and probably something that your children will love in the future. When everything else is changing, it stays the same. It's timeless. It's classic. Here are some examples of how to use the word classic like a native speaker. A classic car. They look cool forever. A classic movie. You never get tired watching it. A classic novel. It stands the test of time. Classic fashion. A little black dress. Classic design. It was cool then, and it's cool now. So, can we say classic music? Yes, we can, but it's usually attached to a particular genre. Classic American 50s music like James Brown, Elvis Presley, or Nina Simone. Oh, absolute classics. Classic 80s J-pop. Things like Seiko Matsuda, Princess, or maybe Misato Watanabe. Absolute classics. Those are all classics. Why? Because they still feel fresh even today. Actually, I've heard the word vintage being used in Japan for things like vintage jeans, vintage t-shirts, or vintage bric-a-brac. So in this sense, we can use the word vintage just the same way as we use classic. You know what? That's probably the best way to remember how to use it. Yeah. Classic is just like vintage. It never goes out of style. So you want to talk about Chopin, Tchaikovsky, or perhaps even Vivaldi. Although this music is classic, meaning it's timeless, in English we classify this genre of music as classical music. Yes, we just add on an AL at the end, and it completely changes the meaning and the feeling of this word. Can we interchange both classic and classical? Not usually. Classic is usually used for things like the Coca-Cola bottle design. Classical is in most cases just used for music composed by the legendary composers like Mozart. What kind of music are you into? I like classic. You mean like Elvis Presley or the Beatles? No, I always listen to Mozart and Strauss. Oh, you mean classical music? Yeah, that's what I said. Classic. No, that means something else. Does it? Oh, okay. I like classical music then. One more thing. Classic can be used as both a noun and an adjective, but classical can only be used as an adjective. So we can say, a classic car, or it's a classic. Using it as classical, only as an adjective, we can say, it's classical music. 5 example sentences. Let's go. I can really get in the zone when I study with classical music. To get in the zone means to have a high level of concentration. You may have heard it being used in the internet sports streaming service called DAZN, which means the players are in the zone and are concentrating very hard. I'm in the zone! The iPhone is a classic design that all other electronic manufacturers have struggled to emulate. To emulate something is to try and reproduce, or to make an even better version of something. To emulate. That was a great party last weekend. You can say that again. It was classic. So classic is often used as a noun or an adjective when talking about something which was fantastic, wonderful, unforgettable, one of a kind. It's used for things like parties, jokes, sometimes really good food, music, all that kind of fun stuff. It's classic. Some people love tinkering around with classic cars and restoring them to their former glory. When you tinker around, it means you work on something little by little, like in your free time. It's usually something that you love, that you're passionate about. Can you give me an example of a classic design that you really love? Let me know down in the comments. For me, I love the red telephone boxes in the UK. Classic. I've already selected your next video. Click over here. It shows you how to use the very simple but complex word just. I'll see you over there.